1, 2, 3, 4. I won't deny it, I'm a Southsider. You don't wanna mess with me. Got the police looking for me. But I'm calm cause I'm smoking that CBD. Said I won't deny it, I'm a Southsider. You don't wanna mess with me. Got the police looking for me. But I'm chilling in the back of the VIP. Said we won't deny it, we are Southsiders. You don't wanna mess with us. Got the police looking for us. But there's nothing that they can do when you're chilling with the Blessed Life podcast crew. What's up, what's good? Happy Sunday. I'm Brian Tierney. This is the Blessed Life University podcast, the Blue Podcast for short. We're here hanging out today. We're going to be talking about the tragic derailment and detonation of train cars in East Palestine, Ohio, that contained vinyl chloride, which is a known carcinogen from my understanding. And we're also going to be talking about some of the, China balloons and other things that were found and shot down over the United States. Pew! Pew, pew. And we're going to finish with a fictional story that would be crazy if it were reality. So that'll be fun.
Entirely fictional, though. Totally fictional. You know, we're getting into fiction writing. For those of you that don't know, it's a surprise. This is entirely editorialized and from the mind of Brian Tierney. So,
oh my God, all
for
the
your
pressure's
entertainment.
on me.
Yeah, for your entertainment.
Matt Thomassen cannot overstate the fictional nature of this story. So, in any event, here with me to talk about all that today is the aforementioned Captain Matt Thomassen, captain in the U.S. Army and attorney at Thomassen and Tierney, attorneys at law. Today we thought we'd have a little fun with a fictional story taking place right now in 2023. As the old saying goes, sometimes reality is stranger than fiction. But we assure this fictional story is strange, and if it were real, it would be like nuts, like living in the Twilight Zone. Anyway, the story takes place in the aftermath of the Modelo Virus, a virus that originated in Wu-Tang, Asia, and spread into a global pandemic. There's a vaccine company named Schnauzer that created vaccines for the Modelo virus really quickly after the outbreak began, like under a year, pursuant to the Hyperspeed project. The world as everyone knew it had been through a lot over these past few years. Then, in comes this eccentric billionaire named Leon Cent. He comes to wealth and prominence by co-founding this payment app called FriendSend. Leon Cent went on to form an electric car company named Edison Motors. He goes on to purchase this company called Chirper, which is one of the biggest social media platforms in the world, and he starts releasing troves of emails from the past few years known as the Chirper Records. The Chirper Records contain internal emails and memos between Chirper and national security agencies. One of the agencies is known as the BFF. They are a bureau that investigates things like pretty much whatever they want to investigate. There's a similar agency known as the ACE. It turns out that the BFF and the ACE have been having regular meetings with Chirper and some of the major social media platforms like Butt Tablet.
It's a big one.
So Butt Tablet is a place where people go to share posts, videos, and pictures. And it is really just a lot of women showing off their butts. Butt Tablet owns Pound Later, which is an even more addictive version of Butt Tablet. If you thought that women were wearing skimpy clothes on Butt Tablet, wait until you see Pound Later. Crazier still, a lot of the females making mad loot on Pound Later make even more money doing more risque stuff on a website called Strictly Followers. There's been some real wealth generation originating from Strictly Followers. More than anyone thought people could make on their own without working for some big production company. Seemingly, the most major players in the social media game are Beagle, which is an online search engine that finds and retrieves information and other things just like a real dog. Beagle owns the biggest video platform in the world known as Me Cylinder, where people can post all kinds of videos and podcasts. Unfortunately for free speech, these companies have been suppressing information about the Modelo virus and the Modelo virus vaccines through use of the algorithm at the behest of the American government agencies like BFF and ACE. Revelations that all started coming to light because of the Chirper records. The mainstream media has been downplaying all this, especially a recent video released by this organization known as Operation Truth. This organization engages in undercover operations to expose corruption and sometimes corruption between government and big business. In January 2023, so this is really recently, Operation Truth released a video between one of their undercover interviewers and a director of research for Schnauzer Pharmaceutical Company named Pippen Texas Ranger. That's this guy's name. Crazy name. Yeah. Turns out Pippen is a man who is romantically attracted to other men. And so Operation Truth sends in an attractive man in a honeypot sting to get information about the inner workings of Schnauzer. The interviewer builds trust with Pippen, and Pippen reveals a whole bunch of things. So apparently Pippen reveals that Schnauzer has either already engaged in experimentation with making the Modelo virus, trying to figure out its next mutations.
By generating those mutations themselves in experimentation.
In experimentation with monkeys. And with the purported purpose of trying to get ahead of mutations to make the next vaccine.
I believe he called it, what was directed evolution?
Directed evolution is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Sounds similar to gain-of-function research that they were doing on the Modelo virus originally in Wu-Tang, Asia.
Yes, Wu-Tang. I heard about Wu-Tang.
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 Forever. Wu-Tang forever.
Damn right.
And then further in the video, Pippen says that there's basically like a revolving door between one of these government agencies and big pharma. And, with Schnauzer, a lot of the time these regulators will go to work for Schnauzer afterward. And so the regulators are thinking, well, this is going to be my next employer. And so I don't know if I want to shit on them too bad because these are the people I'm probably going to get a good paying job from after I leave these regulators.
Indeed.
And so several questions arise here. So when asked if Schnauzer is considering manipulating COVID, Pippen in the video said, one of the things that we're exploring is like, why don't we just mutate it ourselves so we could preemptively develop new vaccines? Pippen explains that so-called directed evolution research is distinct from gain-of-function research because directed evolution involves doing selected structure mutations to try to see if we can make the Modelo virus more potent.
Great.
Okay, so we'll deal with how fucked up that sounds in just a minute. Another question is that government agencies are supposed to be acting impartially toward big pharma companies and small, all of them alike. And instead it sounds like perhaps Schnauzer is getting favorable treatment. That's fucked up in and of itself.
Who would have thought?
And then you got to start wondering what steps, the government is taking, these agencies, to protect against companies kind of taking them over. Which would be known as like a captive agency. And then lastly, Schnauzer's coming out and they're saying that they've not conducted gain-of-function research or directed evolution research. And now the question is whether the government has knowledge of whether Schnauzer and others have been conducting directed evolution research or gain of function research, all of which
Whatever semantic
has a dividing
definition
line
slap on
that I have no fucking idea as a regular person what it is.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see an insider like Pippen talking openly over drinks about the inner workings of Schnauzer. What do you think about all this, brother?
I mean, I think it's
Remember,
just kind
it's
of
Pippen and Schnauzer.
I think it's kind of it confirms who doesn't know Schnauzer? I mean, they're one of the biggest pharmaceuticals in the world.
In this fictional story.
In this hypothetical situation we're talking about. But, Pippen is... It's interesting. He's... You can tell from watching him in the conversation... Just he's still trying to pick his words carefully because there's been company policy that's been discussed of what they can and cannot discuss, and he's telling don't tell anybody, but don't tell anybody that. Now that would be crazy, but we are kind of we are we don't call it that, we call it directed evolution or whatever. And the guy's like, sounds kind of like gain of function. He's like, well, we don't label it like that. He's just kind of like, it's almost like there's. Like they have been so adamant at like reinforcing like company policy, at least at whatever level he's at, that individual at Schnauzer. Yeah. So even over drinks, even when he is loose-lipped, he's still trying to like you can tell he says a lot. He says a lot of the research they're conducting.
That motherfucker was like an open book,
he was
man.
Chirping like a bird, and he was trying to kind of curtail stay within Schnauzer policy of how they want this. What he's supposed to talk about, what he's not supposed to talk about, but he's chirping like a fucking canary. He's basically telling you they're trying to, get ahead of the mutations of the Modelo virus by, preemptively creating them, in the lab. So much like what was purported to have been going on in Wu-Tang. So, Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang. Forever. Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
We actually like Wu-Tang. We love Wu-Tang, in fact.
It's just, are we surprised? Is anyone surprised that Schnauzer is conducting said research where they're trying to like manipulate or direct the progression of the virus, the Modelo virus?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. It's like, and then they were doing this at a certain university. I believe it was
University of Boston.
Yeah.
Well, there's more to be discussed about that, but that's not part of today's story.
No, not today.
We will definitely be exploring that in future episodes. But another really interesting moment in the video of Pippen Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yes.
What a fucking tremendous name, by the way. He goes, the revolving door between the U.S. government, and this is not an exact quote, I'm not quoting this guy exactly, but he says the revolving door between the U.S. government and Schnauzer is good for Schnauzer, but it's really bad for the rest of the American public.
Yeah, because you're saying, what if this got out? And he was actually, Pippen was actually a proponent of the Wu-Tang leak. We'll call it a hypothesis.
He found it hard to believe that it would happen from a natural spillover.
Yeah. He's like, there's no way this could have developed in nature.
Came from the Wu-Tang Institute of Virology.
Wu-Tang.
Forever. Love Wu-Tang.
Best group. So, and he was like, the scary part is, the dangerous implications, doing this research, however you want to label it. And he was very clear that they, were to get out, it would have some very potentially dangerous implications. Like on one end, you're preparing for the next outbreak or the next dangerous strain, but on the other hand, you might cause the next outbreak if you fuck up. So this experimentation comes with risk, especially with a potently contagious pathogen like the Modelo virus. There's always a risk of somebody catching in the lab, whereas other pathogens not necessarily so contagious, but when there's that much potential money to be made, I mean we're getting into, I remember there was one Mission Impossible. Do you ever see that Mission Impossible movie where there was like the Chimera virus, I think it was called, And so they had like a rogue agent that was working for, I don't know, like a pharmaceutical company or something, that they were going to release the chimera virus, but they had already built the antigen, the antidote, so they're going to let it fucking rip through. That was the plan. And then they also had the antidote pre-made already to distribute once this pathogen got out. And they were basically stopping the outbreak. Tom Cruise was like stopping the outbreak of the virus. So it's literally like some fucking Mission Impossible Tom Clancy like shit that's going on here. It's like you create the disease, but then you also have the cure as a backup. I mean, and then just cha-ching. Like,
can we do away with both? I don't want the disease or the cure.
Yeah, why don't we just all, burn it in a fucking incinerator and just wipe it from the face of the earth? Like,
yeah, let's not
keep it. I want to go on record and say that I'm optimistic about the MRABC DEFG technology, the ABC DEFG technology
for other purposes,
for future purposes, and I'm optimistic that it will be perfected over the course of time. I'm just not optimistic that it already has been perfected. I can't jump on that boat. The first crack. Whenever have we as humans got something perfectly right our first crack at the egg? Almost never. Think about the space race, right? You know how many fucking, especially if you're a cosmonaut, you know how many fucking cosmonauts burned up on the fucking launch pad or got fucking lost or like died in orbit? More than the USSR would care to admit, But hey, they were the first in space, baby. They got that win. So, but the path there, paved with corpses, unfortunately. So rarely do we as humans get something right, and props for the trailblazers that just they fucking put their balls on the table, and they're like, all right, I'm gonna be the fucking first one to step up to the plate. I mean, Godspeed, and I hope they're remembered. But like, man, and we're gonna believe Big Pharma. They got it right the first crack at the egg. Okay, sure.
Yeah, and they were following around
Get the fuck out of here.
The head of Schnauzer, trying to ask questions about it, about the video that came out, and they didn't have any answer. And the guy's personal security was fucking assaulting
he was being a fucking
assaulting
dick.
the interviewer that was trying to ask him the questions. And I think if Schnauzer has nothing to hide, that they would that he would answer questions, or maybe.
But what were they even going to? Like some closed hearing with
I have no idea.
elected representatives?
It's private fucking bullshit.
I'm sure.
And I get it. There's a time and place, but we'll see what happens. But interesting stuff. It raised a lot of questions, and when videos like that, I mean, there's no question that Pippen is an employee of Schnauzer. And when things like that come out, it like confirms what a lot of people suspected during this whole Modelo Virus pandemic, is that this kind of fuck shit is going on at the expense of the American public and
the world too.
Like there's no consequence at all.
Yeah, none whatsoever.
Yeah. When do people get justice?
Probably never. It's a shame. A lot of times, I won't even say bad actors, but like self-interested parties, they come out ahead. That's how they got on top, by being self-interested. Whether you're, big government, big corporations, big pharma, whatever the fuck it is, like a lot of times they come away ahead at the expense of of the people or the little guy or their employees or whatnot. And I'd like to say that, good wins in the end, but it doesn't always. It really doesn't. So, there's a lot of people that I think can testify to that. We kind of have a rose-colored view of history, I think, maybe in the developed world. And, some of what got the developed world was the good guys not winning. Unfortunately that's true for a lot of human history. It's like there's a lot of conquest, there's a lot of looting, there's a lot of bad shit that went on, and injustice. I mean, I mean, think about the closest thing we had in like modern justice within the last 100 years was like, say, like the Nuremberg trials, right, where they were fucking hanging Nazis for their complicity and participation in, you know, the extermination of Jews. And I feel like that shit, where there's like a global effort for justice, like that, I don't see that shit ever happening again, absent some horrendous, like another world war or something like that, where horrendous human rights violations. But now it's just like there's so much. I feel like almost conflicts don't even happen unless they're like approved by the powers that be, and like they're engineered in such a way, like, you know, you look at the Iraq War as a perfect example. I probably shouldn't be talking about it, but I feel like it's over now, and everybody already knows what that was. I'm not going to say what it was, but if you've been paying attention, you know what that was about. I don't need to tell you about it here on camera, but you know what that was about, and you know there's going to be no justice for it, for, you know, the guilty parties associated with that little kerfluffle. So they just get away with it because it's all been blessed off upon, you know, ahead of time. Just like with the financial collapse, right? You know, we had big banks making bullshit loans that they knew everything was going to go tits up, and they just made bad loans, hedge bets on bets on bets and bets and bets. And when the house of cards, you know, fell over, they knew they were going to get bailed out by the federal government. They knew this was in place. No justice happened. I think one person went to jail over the entire thing. All the big banks doing shady ass predatory like bullshit loans. What happens? Nothing. They just get bailed out by the American taxpayer. So the good guy hasn't won for a long time, and we've been run. I think the global landscape has been run by this collusive cabal of like big government interests, corporate interests, basically just like fusing together and overlapping to the point where it's just you know, special interests just carry the day every day, and the rest of us just have to deal with the aftermath. So, and that's the modern like global landscape. So
I have some optimism that the younger generation will be getting their information from independent journalists as opposed to big media outlets. I think big media outlets are dying with older generations, and maybe for good reason. You know, or, I mean, and for good reason, I guess, because, you know, you see a lot of these big media outlets that, you know, they promoted, you know, falsehoods, things that turned out to later be false without really checking during the Modelo pandemic. And they fail to cover other things like this whole thing with Schnauzer and Pippen. Like, you would think that there'd be more open coverage about that, and really reflection to see.
Yeah. From the horse's mouth. That's from the horse's mouth. That's an insider.
And not just like a janitor there. This guy is a development of fucking research and development at their company, man.
Yeah, that is directly from the horse's mouth. You heard it first. And
some loose lip idiot that just fucking tells them like everything that you suspected.
Yeah, you're right. Everyone, our suspicions were correct. Big surprise. We already knew. So a lot of we can't count on major media outlets to cover this stuff. No.
But you have a lot of good independent journalists doing stuff out there on like Substack. I'm going to be subscribing to several Substacks. Like the one in this story, a good one would be Dr. Irish Tejas. I'm gonna be keeping up on his Substack, because I'll find a bunch of great information about Texas, what's really going down in these fictional streets or whatever. But
crazy stories. They're just stories, folks. Just stories. Yeah. This is not reality at all.
Yeah, another guy where you find a lot of truth speakers coming on his podcast is what is it? That one guy.
It's Snow Logan.
Snow Logan.
Yeah. Snow Logan.
Yeah, Logan's podcast
is
one of the biggest in this story, and he's got a lot of truth tellers that come on there and expose some shit. So I'll keep on tuning into that to learn more as well. But we shall see, folks. We'll keep you updated on what we hear with Schnauzer and Pippen Texas Ranger and all this other stuff. You might not hear about it on your major news outlets, but
Probably not.
But there's a bunch of podcasts and other stuff that'll talk about it, and hopefully some of these people in Congress will get answers from these alphabet soup of government agencies. What do you think, brother? We should wrap this up, or what?
Seems pretty well covered for the moment. Yeah, more to follow.
I hope you enjoyed that story, folks. Reality is stranger than the fiction, but I'll tell you what. Right now, I'm feeling like Notorious B.I.G. I want a fucking ribeye steak or whatever. You know what I mean?
For that ribeye.
Yeah, he said it. There was a line he had in one of his songs. T-bone steak. Cheese X and Welch's grape. What is Cheese X? Do you know what the fuck that is? Never heard of it.
Nope.
Somebody tell me.
No idea.
We're going to have to look that up. But Welch's grape, probably fire too. It's like, why don't you just have some wine with a steak, dog? But whatever, maybe like a little bit on the sweeter side. Yeah. He says T-bone steak. T-bone steak, Cheese X, and Welch's grape. What is Cheese X?
It must be like a cheesy spread or whatever.
Something.
Yeah.
But you're going to put that on your fucking nice T-bone? But whatever, I mean, we're about to have a steak. So, kindness is the world's most powerful resource, and we control it. Not the government, not some big company. We as a people control it. So use it every day. It's kindness is contagious, even more so than the Modelo virus. It's more contagious than that.
It's pretty contagious.
You can use it every single day, out and outside. It could be gray skies, and you'd still have sunshine. So spread kindness all over and make the world a better place.
Minimal side effects as well. So it's a fact.
I don't. It might have none. I think research shows that kindness has.
It might have
like
little to none.
99.9%. No side effects. It's
very
like
safe to use.
1%. So
we're not doctors, but I feel like we can safely say that.
Spread it all over and make the world a better place, man. Be good, be kind, be respectful. Stay sharp, stay blessed. May truth and reason prevail. And tune in to the next episode of the Blessed Life University podcast. We love all of you. Peace out.